Alright, ladies and gentlemen, a brand new Spiral Abyss has just reset, so of course let's go ahead and try it out with our newest DPS, Nefer. Now of course she did release a while ago, but this is the first Abyss reset since her release, if I'm not mistaken. Of course we do have new banners up now, so unfortunately you can't pull her, but at least we do have a brand new Abyss. Now one thing we should mention is that there is a bloom damage increase, so you know she is kinda getting shielded here, so kinda to counteract that, we're not leveling her up to 90 quite yet, and then her talents are still at 188. This might not fully make up for the buffs, but on the bright side, at least her performance shouldn't be too out of line for moments when she's not getting shelled. But yeah, anyway, we will be running her team alongside Lauma, Nahida, as well as our level 70 Aino here. And then on the second half, we're actually going for TAO instead of Movika. The main thing here is that, of course, we did just recently get her C1 for free from the brand new Constellation Selector, so I just wanted to see just how good is a C1 TAO in 2025, nearly 2026. And then alongside her, we're going to be grabbing ourselves a Furina, as well as a Yelan, and then a Xilonen to round out the team. So yeah, that's the team we're going to be going for. Full character builds will be at the end, but real quick before we hop into things, if you want to pull any brand new Nodcry characters, then I have the perfect thing for you, and that's today's sponsor, lootbar.gg. You can use lootbar to top up on your favorite games like Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail and save up to 25% with special great value offers such as the limited 6,480 Genesis Crystals pack, as well as the all-in-one bundle, which now applies on Xbox and PS5 as well. And with the recent Genshin anniversary, you can get double on your first top-ups. And with the release of the Miliasha Wonderland, you can also top up Chronal Nexus directly on Lootbar with the same trusted services as the Genesis Crystals. When I decided to buy one of my friends a Welcome Moon, all I had to do was enter in their UID and region, and I received the purchase in literally less than 10 seconds. Creators like DuckTV and Jello Impact are also collaborating with Lootbar, so they are trustworthy, and they also have thousands of positive reviews on Trustpilot. Also, new users can get 10% off, and returning users can also get an extra 5 and 3% off. So be sure to check out Lootbar with the link in the description. Back to the video. Alright then, and here we are on the first chamber. We will be picking ourselves up a elemental skill damage buff, although I'm pretty sure most of Nefer's damage counts as no bloom damage, so this actually won't be buffing us basically whatsoever. Anyway, we're going to be starting off with Aino's skill. Just because we want to get a little bit of extra Hydro weapon, because we basically can't get any of our stacks until we end up destroying this Pyro Shield, because otherwise we can't create Bloom Cores, which means we will not be getting any, I believe it's called Verdant Dew, so that we won't be able to use our actual skill damage. But now that we do have all that, we can go back to doing a normal rotation. This guy's gonna go ahead and fly up in the air. This is my new least favorite boss in the game, I want to mention. I think that its stall mechanic is incredibly boring, incredibly dumb. Most enemy stall mechanics start around, like, say the 45-second mark, whereas this one just starts right at the beginning of the battle. And if you can't finish it at the beginning of the battle, then you end up having to do it twice, which is absolutely horrible. Anyway, we'll just get a little bit more damage in before we go ahead and refresh our team's buffs as well. Go ahead and use all of our stuff here, and then there we go. Now we can go ahead and go back to DPSing. So we're hitting 96 and 120Ks here, so we're dealing about 216K whenever we do our skills here, which is very nice. And we absolutely delete this guy's HP wall. So yeah, once this guy stops with the stupid stalling mechanics, he just gets absolutely deleted there. Didn't even have time. I believe we didn't even have to get off of Nefer in order for him to go down, which is very nice. Now, of course, we did have the things there helping us out as well, the little, you know, homing missile things, which when you hit them with Lunar Bloom. Anyway, here we are with Aruda, and okay, this guy is literally going down very quickly already. The dash cancels here are very satisfying, that's for sure. Like I said, I've been playing C0 TAO since, I think, 2023, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's been a very long time of me doing jump cancels, and now that I have a C0R0 TAO, I see what all the hype was, and dare I say, this actually feels pretty damn strong. I think TAO might be one of the best aged units in the entire game. You know, with all the recent support she's been getting, you know, she got the Plunge team, then she got the team of Xilonen as well. TAO's just very, very fun to play right now. Let's see, let's go ahead and keep doing our rotation, and we still have quite a bit of time left now, of course, because her Pyro app in between just the N1 and then charge attack is absolutely insane. We get to absolutely destroy this Cryo Shield here. And honestly, this boss is the main reason why I went for TAO in the first place. I feel like in most other chambers, maybe Movika would be the best in slot choice, but with the Cryo Shield and all of her Pyro app, and the fact that her damage isn't concentrated in just one big hit, I actually find that TAO works better for this floor than Movika does. And there we go. That is the first chamber cleared. Now, maybe if we had more to say, one missing so many crits, maybe we could clear a bit faster. But with that being said, let's go ahead and hop straight into the second chamber. Alright, and here we are on the second chamber. Now we will be picking up a burst damage increase, which is decent for our Hu Tao, you know, not her main source of damage. And then for Nefer, her burst is also, I think her burst like maybe between 5 and 10% of her damage, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not entirely sure, maybe it's like 11%, I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, if I'm being entirely honest, I don't know fully how this boss's mechanics work. I'm pretty sure if we deal enough lunar damage to it, it will just disable, otherwise it gets resistances to the element which hits it the most, which is slightly annoying. I prefer the old way of doing it, where, you know, you just had to stun an enemy and then they wouldn't get the resistances, you know, those ruin enemies I'm talking about. I believe it's the ruin drakes, if I'm not mistaken. That's just a much better way of doing it, but oh well, we have to shill the newest not great characters, I guess. I remember thinking that the lunar mechanics at the beginning were not as bad as Night Soul, but now they might arguably be worse than Night Soul, which is a bit of a shame, but oh well, what can we do? Anyway, we've already done over half of this guy's HP bar, which is nice for us. We can do a little bit more DPSing here as well. About a quarter of the HP bar left here now. I meant to use that ult to iframe, but oh well. Anyway, let's go ahead and deal a bit more lunar damage, and then I think this guy is down already. Yes, he is. So let's go ahead and pop all of our ults. Maybe it actually would have been better there if I didn't pop Nahida, because we probably don't need it to finish this guy off. And then also it would have saved us the healing as well as the energy for the next chamber. But oh well, we are now onto the second chamber with our Hu Tao. I think I'm going to do some slightly weird rotation here, where I'm going to go ahead and swap into Xilonen, so that we can use our ult, and then I'm going to press Alt and, it's either Alt and free, so that we can straight away switch to Yelan without, basically, what I didn't notice, but if you press Alt and then your keybind, it just does the character's ultimate instantly and then swaps them in, instead of swapping them in and then you have to manually do the ultimate. So if they're on low HP, then they won't end up dying. Okay, these things spawned in whilst I was redoing our rotation, so that's slightly unfortunate. So yeah, fun fact, if you do have a healer on field and then you want to swap into a character so that they can get the healing with their ultimate without them being exposed first, then just press Alt and then your keybind. I'm not sure what the shortcut is on controller. So yeah, fun fact for you, I learned that on TikTok. It's like maybe the one time TikTok is ever useful, because normally all TikTok does is give you fake leaks. But yeah, now that was actually a fun fact which I don't use often, but then I will end up sometimes using. You know, like I said, if one of my characters is low, but other than that, I typically just do it the standard way. Okay, that's annoying. This guy just sends you absolutely flying, but we've done enough damage to him that doesn't matter that rotation was kind of scuffed. We could have finished this one rotation earlier, but it's fine. We should be able to do it anyway. Go ahead and just do our whole team rotation here. We're not going to bother with Xilonen's healing here. We're just going to save that for the next chamber. And this guy should go down. Yes, he does. Perfect. And there we go, with a little bit of time to spare as well. So that's the second chamber done. And with that being said, let's go ahead and hop straight into the third and final chamber. Alright then, and here we are in the third and final chamber. We will once again get a burst damage increase. Like I said, nice small buff for Hu Tao. Not really gonna help us much though in the grand scheme of things, but oh well. Anyway, let's just go ahead and do our damage rotation. I love how most of these chambers start off with a little guy to stall and then a boss enemy, whereas this one, the guy who's supposed to stall you just doesn't stall you, basically. You know, the guy in the first chamber definitely stalled us quite a lot. Basically, we could have been able to take that out quicker if we had Yelan, but then Yelan just isn't that good of a combo for a Nefer in the first place. So, yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, this guy is getting absolutely destroyed right now. Like I said, if you have a lunar character and there's a enemy of lunar mechanics, you just clear this in 40 seconds and it doesn't even matter. Wow. Insane, I guess. Definitely some interesting design here. Anyway, I'm just going to start off here with Yelan because I want to make sure that we can get our Furina ultimate up as well. Oh, I did not press Furina's skill there. That is awkward. We're going to have to go ahead and swap back into her. And you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and use the Yelan skill again just so we can get all of the particles. We're going to have a slightly scuffed first rotation, but I think Furina's ult duration should be long enough for all of this. Hu Tao's DPS window isn't like insanely long, so we could actually deal with that there. We don't need to rescale her because Furina's skill lasts decently long, so let's go ahead and do our rotation, then just go straight back into DPSing. And yeah, perfect. We have all of our buffs up, and we have all of our elemental application up as well. I'm actually so happy to see the Geovish back as the final boss in a chamber. It's been so long since this guy has been in here. I honestly kind of missed him. It is a very nice break from all of the region-specific bosses with all of their dumb little mechanics, but I feel like I've ranted enough about that, so we're just gonna go ahead and do some dash cancels. I will say, these dash cancels definitely feel much cleaner than the jump cancels. You know, I used to think, oh, you know, well executed jump cancels could just make up for having a C0 Hu Tao, and they definitely can, but C1 Hu Tao just hits different. It also gives you so many more iframes, so you just kind of end up dying less often. She also feels like she has better traversal as well, because you can just dash the enemies instead of having to walk up to them, because if you use your dash, then you wouldn't have enough charge attack for, or you wouldn't have enough stamina for your charge attacks. So yeah, definitely nice quality of life as well as nice damage increase. If you have Hu Tao and you're still interested in playing her, for example, if you like already invested the stuff at home in her or something, and you only have her C0, I definitely would recommend picking up the C1, because yeah, it actually makes her hold up decently well in an abyss like this. I did not think I would be using Hu Tao in nearly 2026, but alas, here we are. So yeah, C1 Hu Tao, very happy with. Nefer also very happy with, but it's difficult not to be when the Abyss is designed mostly up for her. Although I will say the first chamber actually didn't benefit her design that much, I guess, well, other than the boss. But then, you know, excluding the boss, then, you know, the little guy who spawned at the beginning, he was quite the annoying bit of stall. But, and then also the boss has some very annoying stall mechanics as well, so we actually didn't have that much time to DPS. But once we were able to DPS, we just did absolutely insane damage numbers to it, because obviously, you know, Nefer for the win, I guess. But yeah, with that being said, let's hop straight into the character builds and then the outro. Well then, as you can see, both sides were more than able to get the job done. When it comes to our Nefer, you know, on the first half, when we couldn't get rid of that pyro shield, it was a bit annoying. And then also the second chamber's boss's stalling is just annoying no matter who you play. But then when it came to the third chamber, I mean, we just absolutely destroyed it. That's just, you know, lunar characters are just kind of popping off right now just because the enemy design is mostly favoring them. To be fair, the first chamber didn't favor her all that much, but still got the job done. And then actually Hu Tao was a very pleasant surprise. Now, Hu Tao is C1 with the R1 Staff of Homa that we did pull a long time ago. So, I mean, I guess C1 Hu Tao isn't unrelatable anymore, but if you don't have Staff of Homa, then you can expect slightly worse performance. Although, possibly still could have cleared every chamber in 90 seconds, although don't quote me on that, especially if you put her on like Mars to Say or something, which I didn't. Mine was just on Crimson Witch. But anyway, when it comes to character builds, starting off with the Nefer team, 877 EM, 62% crit rate, which plus 30 from Obsidian, not Obsidian, rather, from the Nodcry set, that becomes 92, plus 10 from Lauma, this actually ends up being 102 crit rate, 204 crit damage, a little bit of ER as well, 123, although we don't really need her ult that much. R1 of the Nodcry craftable, like I said, we are on the Nodcry set, we actually got pretty lucky with the resin we spent here, so double crit, EM, double crit, EM, ER, double crit. This one also has a little bit of ER on it, and then also crit damage with 13.2% crit rate. So yeah, pretty insane pieces right here. Constellation C0 and then 188 talents like I showed off earlier. When it comes to our Lauma, over 1000 EM, we do have her on 232 ER as well. Weapons, she is on the R5 event weapon, and then she is also on the brand new Nodcry set, just getting as much EM and ER as we can. Yeah, that's it. Really pretty simple build. Constellations C0 with 110 talents. For our Nahida, she's on 853 EM, 123 ER as well. Weapons, she is on R3 prototype Amber so that we can get a little bit of healing. Otherwise, I'd have her on sack rags so that she can get over 100 EM or 1000 EM so she can share a bit more to us. But we kind of want to sustain here, so yeah. And then she is also on Deepwood to increase our Nefer's Lunar Bloom as well as just personal dendro damage as well. Pretty huge. Triple EM, of course. Constellations C0 and then 210 talents. When it comes to our Aino, 254 EM, 163 ER, stats don't really matter that much. Level 1 R5 of this event Claymore. She is on Instructor set as well to give our entire team a bit more EM as well, 120 more EM to be specific. And then other than that, the other stats don't really matter. She is C0, so no C6 buff here, and then 111 talents. When it comes to our Hu Tao, she's on 75% crit rate, 231% crit damage, 187 EM, 26k max HP. Like I said, R1 Homa, and then Crimson Witch instead of Mars to Say. I just couldn't be asked to move my artifacts around. I just wanted to see if we could wing it, and we actually were able to. So yeah, if you were running a more free-to-play weapon, but you did have Mars to Say, then you'd probably actually end up with a similar performance with Staff of Homa, as long as you get the C1 from the Constellation selector. So yeah, since C1 is available to every Hu Tao owner, I actually feel pretty confident about using this. And then Triple Crown talents as well. And then when it comes to our Hydro teammates, Furina, 35k max HP, 64 crit rate for 207 crit damage, 168 ER. Weapons, Fav Sword, as well as on Golden Troop, HP crit, standard build. Constellation C0 with 2910 talent. When it comes to our Yelan, she's on 65 crit rate, 193 crit damage, 194 ER, and then also our 2 Fav Sword artifacts on Emblem, as you would probably expect. HP Hydro crit, and then Constellations C0 with 1610 talents. And then finally rounding out the team, we have our Xilonen, who's on 2.4k defense, 226 ER, 42% crit rate for our Fav Sword here. And then artifacts on Cinder City, of course. We won't really get the Cinder City uptime on Hu Tao all that much, unfortunately. But oh well, at least it will buff our Furina and Yelan damage, I guess. And then defense healing bonus. Constellations C0 with 110 talent. So yeah, that's it for our collectibles. Let me know how you guys found this abyss. What teams did you use? How are you finding Nefer? And if you picked up C1 Hu Tao and you were only used to C0 like I was, how are you finding her as well? With that being said, I'll see you guys next time. See ya.